Hey, I'm Alex with ToolRev, and today we're looking at two compact table saws from DeWalt. The Flexvolt 60-volt cordless model DCS7485 and the new 15-amp corded model DWE7485. So I've been using this Flexvolt model for the past few years and it's been a great saw, but just recently a house I'm rebuilding was robbed and this is one of the saws they got. So I grabbed this replacement along with the corded version so we can check them out. So to start, these are both 8 1/4 inch saws with a no load speed of 5,800 RPMs. The Flexvolt is brushless, the corded is not. Both have a 24-inch rip capacity, the same table and frame dimensions, and come with the same accessories. So over here you have a rip fence with an onboard push stick. Back here you have a miter gauge, a set of blade change wrenches, and a pair of anti-kickback poles that attach to the blade guard assembly that's stored on the side over here. The blade guard has its own dust port that can be used in addition to the 2.5 inch dust port back here. You have a -2 to +48 degree bevel on these that's easy to use. The straight cut is 2.5 inches, the 45 is 1 3/4 inches. This one came from the factory with the 90 degree off by about 1 degree, so I fixed that with the 90 degree adjustment screw here. There's a 45 adjustment right here, and if you need to realign the blade with the miter slot, there's an adjustable bracket back here under the table. I will say my original saw came perfectly dialed in from the factory, and the only thing that went out of adjustment on it in 3 years was the riving knife, which has its own adjustment screws right down here. Both saws have a 5/8 arbor that's too short for a dado stack, so cutting dados, rabbets, and grooves on these can take more work. They both come with a 24 tooth thin kerf carbide blade and a riving knife pre-installed. To swap out the riving knife for the blade guard assembly, just push and spin, or spin and push this lock knob right here. So with the blade and all of the accessories on board, the cordless weighs 46.2 pounds without a battery, and the corded weighs 48 pounds. If you look under here, you can see the corded motor is a lot bigger than the Flexvolt motor. The corded also has a 6-foot cord that adds weight, and it comes with this metal miter gauge that's a ½ pound heavier than the Flexvolt's plastic miter gauge. By the way, not only is this metal miter gauge easier to read, it also has through holes to attach a miter fence where the plastic one does not. You have a couple of good stand options for these. At first I got the rolling stand model DWE7485, which is nice, but I found it too bulky to fit in the cab of my truck with my other tools. So I exchanged it for the scissor stand model DWE7485, which is compact and stable because it has these longer front legs that keep the stand from tilting forward. And it has this hook right here to keep the saw from pushing forward, and this ramp to keep it from pulling back. In addition, you have these stops that keep the feet from moving back or forth. And if that's not good enough, it comes with nuts and bolts and has holes so you can bolt the whole thing together, which I've never done. All right, we got a little break in the rain here. So these have a pretty nice sliding rip fence. You have a couple of pin settings here. Undo the rail lock. And you have this front pin setting that will get you close in to the blade, and then this rear pin setting gets you out to 24 inches. So the front pin corresponds to the yellow ruler and the rear pin corresponds to the white ruler. These have a lower deck setting for work extension, and then an upper deck setting that gets you close in for work with the blade guard assembly. This fence slides easy on either saw, and the other one is tight on either saw. It doesn't slide easy on either saw. And the only difference that I can see is that the rip fence beam on this one is 1/8 of an inch longer than the other one. So if you get one that doesn't slide easy, that could be your problem. So you might want to exchange it. And then you have this fine adjustment knob right here. All right, so let's go ahead and rip some wood. So after making several cuts on each saw, I'd say they're pretty even as far as power output. With the Flexvolt using a fully charged 9 amp-hour battery, I was able to get 14 rips out of a 2x4 by 8 foot long piece of Doug fir before the saw slowed down. I then switched to a different fully charged 9 amp hour battery and got 12 rips before the saw slowed down. I could have made a few more cuts, but DeWalt recommends not pushing these batteries past the slowdown point in order to increase rechargeable lifespan. So for me, these are fully capable frame to finish saws. I love the size. I'm able to get straight, accurate cuts with the small table and fence, no problem. It would be cool if they offered a fence extension, but the build quality is high and everything can be dialed in for precision work. So if you get one of these, I hope you enjoyed as much as I do. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.